Have you ever wondered about the actual origins of photography and the first ever photograph ever created? In this digital age that we're living in, there are approximately 350 million photos that are uploaded per day, 14.4 million photos that are uploaded per hour, 243,000 photos that are uploaded per minute, and 4,000 photos that are uploaded per second. In this video, I'll give you an overview on the actual origins of photography and the first ever photograph ever recorded. Coming up next. Hey, what's up everyone? Maximilian here from mwphotography. Image-based works have been my long-time passion, and photography is one of them. In this channel, I hope that you can join me as we embark this journey to explore the wonders of photography, to capturing life's precious moments, and to creating art. So if you're new here, consider subscribing and click on the notification bell icon below to be notified on future videos. With that said, let's get into it. Photography has come a long way within a short period of time. From a simple plain box that captured vague pictures to modern high-end machineries or computers that are built into our smartphones, compact cameras, and now the DSLRs that we have today. So where did the word photography actually came from? The word photography was formed by Greek words, namely photos, which means light, and graphy, which means drawing. Together it forms, or literally means, drawing with light. It is supposedly joined by a British scientist named Sir John Herschel in 1839. Photography has two distinctive sciences. The first, the convergence of light rays to form an image inside the camera. Second is from the aspect of chemistry, is to allow an image to be captured and recorded permanently on a light-sensitive surface. It's the notion that some chemical substances tend to change when exposed to light. The predecessor of the camera was the camera obscura, which is a dark room or a dark chamber with a hole in one wall, through which images of objects outside the room were projected on the opposite wall. Let me illustrate how a camera obscura actually works. An object is placed under a brightly lit scene. The light from that object passes through the hole into the dark room or the dark chamber and converge to form an upside-down image in the opposite wall or onto the surface inside the room. This principle was probably known by the Chinese and the Greeks more than 2,000 years ago and was explained in detail by a man called Hassan ibn al-Haytham, the first clear description outside of China. There is, however, a disadvantage to using the camera obscura because it only allows the image to be viewed in real time. If someone wishes to record the image permanently, an artist needs to trace the image by hand inside the camera. So the final product of the image greatly depended on the artist's skills. Hence the quest to reproduce images mechanically is pursued by many. In 1727, a German professor by the name of Johann Heinrich Schulz found that the darkening of silver sods was caused by light and not by heat. He showed that he could use sunlight to record words on sods, but he made no attempts to preserve the images permanently. However, in combination with the camera obscura, his discovery provided the basic technology for photography. Around 1800, Thomas Wedgwood, some of whom today call him the first photographer, created a black and white negative image inside the camera obscura on a paper or white leather treated with silver nitrate, a chemical which is known to darken upon exposure to light. But he was not able to fix the images permanently because the lighting areas of the images also became dark when exposed to light. Unless kept in complete darkness, they would slowly but surely darken over, thus destroying the whole image. Now let's see the birth of another great inventor. On March 7, 1765, a French inventor by the name of Joseph Nicephore Niepce was born. In the beginning, he was interested in lithography, a process in which drawings are copied or drawn by hand onto lithographic stone and then printed in ink. As Niepce was not artistically trained, he began experimenting using different papers and so chemicals to paint with light. His first attempts brought him great disappointments because they resulted in negative images. Instead, he needed positive images by securing them directly into the camera. To create positive images, Niepce began to focus his attention to other materials that are affected by light. He did everything he could to fix an image permanently that would not be affected by light, and he succeeded in around 1822. He eventually focused his attention to bitumen of Judea, a naturally occurring asphalt. He first oiled an engraving to make it transparent and placed it on a plate coated with a solution of bitumen of Judea and lavender oil, and placed the whole setup under sunlight. After some time, the solution under the light areas hardened, while the solution under the dark areas remains soft and can be washed away, leaving a permanent, accurate copy of the engraving. So Niepce called this method heliography, which means sun drawing. In fact, he was actually making a contact print. From then on, Niepce began to experiment and eventually succeeded in making copies of oil engravings onto lithographic stone, glass, and zinc that produce superior image quality. He used this method to create what is believed to be the first permanent photographic image, a contact exposed copy of an engraving of Pope Pius VII, but unfortunately it got destroyed when Niepce began to make copies out of it. The earliest surviving photographic artifact by Niepce are copies of an engraving of a man with a horse and what may be an engraving of a woman with a spinning wheel made in 1825. They are, in essence, the oldest photocopies. The former is now kept as a collection in Paris, while the latter is kept as a private collection in the US. Other copying of an engraving was that of the Cardinal George Amboise, which was a successful photomechanical reproduction. So what made this print so different from previous methods? The printing plates used in this heliographic process are created photographically rather than hand engraving or drawing onto lithographic stones. And finally, in 1826 or 1827, the power of the camera, the chemical processes, the quest to achieve the permanent photographic image, and the mind of clarity and curiosity of Nicéphore Niepce all came together. Niepce coated a pewter plate with the same solution used in his previous experiments and placed it in a camera looking out from his upstairs window in his residence at the Gras. The end result is now the oldest camera photograph still in existence. The exposure time to create this image is said to have been 8 to 9 hours, based largely on the fact that the sun shines upon the buildings on the opposite sides, indicating a day-long exposure. After a long exposure to light, the plate was washed with a mixture of lavender oil and white petroleum, dissolving away the areas where the bitumen weren't hardened by light. The result is a direct positive image that Niepce always wanted. The first ever recorded photograph. The first photograph renders a view of the courtyard, the buildings, the trees, and the landscape as seen from the upstairs window. Now, some of you may be wondering, why is it so important to address the origins of photography leading up to the first ever recorded photograph? So I've been wondering whether to start with more practical topics on photography. After much thoughts, I've decided to start with the history instead, to go back to its beginnings, to go back to its roots, to the origins of photography. It's therefore, in my opinion, our duty as photographers to really know how photography came about, to really understand and feel how the pioneers of photography strive and struggle to fix an image on the surface to create a permanent photographic image in the camera. Well, the history of photography didn't end here. It took many more years for Nielsen's works to evolve into better image capturing techniques, colored photos, films, and eventually digital photography as we know today, which I'll talk more in my later videos. I'm Maximilian Wong. Please feel free to leave a comment below. A hi can do as well. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share the video, and we're going to cover more in the videos to come. Till then, take care and stay safe. I'll see you next time.